Ex-Kaduna Governor El-Rufai leaves APC for SDP, accuses party of contemptuous treatment. Former Kaduna State Governor El-Rufai has resigned from the All Progressives Congress (APC) and joined the Social Democratic Party (SDP), citing disrespectful treatment by the APC leadership. El-Rufai expressed dissatisfaction with the party's direction and leadership, prompting his decision to switch allegiance. He believes the SDP aligns better with his political ideals and aspirations for Nigeria. El-Rufai's departure from the APC is significant given his influential role in the party's formation and success in previous elections. His move to the SDP could impact the political landscape in Kaduna State and beyond, especially with upcoming elections. The APC has yet to officially respond to El-Rufai's departure. The development adds to the ongoing political realignments in Nigeria, reflecting internal party dynamics and the evolving nature of the country's political scene. Resign or be impeached, Rivers APC chairman tells Fubara. Tony Okocha, the chairman of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in Rivers State, has called on Governor Siminalayi Fubara to resign or face impeachment. Okocha made this statement during a press briefing in Port Harcourt on Monday, March 10, 2025, accusing the governor of committing multiple impeachable offences as highlighted by a recent Supreme Court judgment. Okocha criticized Governor Fubara for allegedly disrespecting President Bola Tinubu and disregarding the rule of law. He described the governor's invitation to 27 pro-Wike lawmakers for a meeting as a great gift, suggesting it was a deceptive gesture. Okocha emphasized that the Supreme Court's judgment is final and that the governor should either resign honorably or face impeachment proceedings. The APC chairman further noted that the Supreme Court's findings provide sufficient grounds for the governor's resignation, rendering any additional investigative panels by the House of Assembly unnecessary. He urged Governor Fubara to resign within 48 hours to avoid impeachment, stating that the offences are evident and the situation is critical. The development follows a prolonged political crisis in Rivers State, with both factions interpreting the Supreme Court ruling to their advantage. The governor's recent invitation to the lawmakers aimed to discuss issues such as the provision of a suitable space for assembly sittings, payment of outstanding allowances, and the presentation of the 2025 budget. However, Okocha dismissed this invitation as insincere and belated. As of now, Governor Fubara has not publicly responded to the APC's ultimatum. The situation remains tense, with potential implications for the state's political stability. Niger State Governor Bago regrets securing 1 trillion naira loan instead of 500 billion naira. Niger State Governor Umaru Bago has expressed regret over securing a 1 trillion naira loan for the state's urban rural renewal project, stating that he should have opted for 500 billion naira instead. He cited concerns over a potential financial crunch and the slow pace of project execution despite the availability of funds. Speaking at a recent meeting with contractors handling various projects in the state, Governor Bago lamented that less than half of the allocated funds had been utilized. He noted that he initially secured the larger amount hoping for swift project execution to avoid financial strain. He emphasized the urgency of the projects, setting an April deadline for completion and warning that contractors failing to meet this deadline risk losing future contracts. Reflecting on the financial burden, Governor Bago admitted, "If I had known, I would have just loaned 500 billion naira. Yes, because the cost of 1 trillion naira is heavier on me." He reiterated that the state has sufficient funds for the project, stating, "I have raised 1 trillion naira for this work. You have not yet used 500 billion naira, all of you, so I still have money left." The development comes in the context of Governor Bago presenting a 1.5 trillion naira budget for the 2025 fiscal year, tagged the budget of hope for sustainability and food security. The budget allocated over 196 billion naira for recurrent expenditure and more than 1.3 trillion naira, 87% of the total budget, for capital expenditure, with a significant focus on infrastructure, housing, and urban renewal. The governor's recent remarks highlight his concerns about the state's financial management and the importance of timely project execution to avoid unnecessary financial burdens. Petrol imports jumped 105% to 15 trillion naira, says NBS. In 2024, Nigeria's expenditure on petrol imports surged by 105%, reaching a record 15.42 trillion naira, up from 7.51 trillion naira in 2023, according to the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS). This increase occurred despite the commencement of operations at domestic refineries, including the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery and the reactivation of the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries. However, these facilities have yet to operate at full capacity, leading to continued reliance on imported fuel. Over the past 5 years, Nigeria's petrol import costs have escalated significantly. 2020, 2.01 trillion naira. 2021, 4.56 trillion naira. 2022, 7.71 trillion naira. 2023, 7.51 trillion naira. 2024, 15.42 trillion naira. This upward trend underscores the nation's ongoing dependence on imported petroleum products. The substantial increase in import costs for 2024 is partly attributed to a 40.9% depreciation of the naira, which inflated the local currency value of imports. Despite efforts to enhance local refining capacity, the persistent rise in fuel import bills highlights Nigeria's vulnerability to foreign exchange fluctuations and global oil price changes. Chatham House warns FG against strengthening naira, says Nigeria now more competitive with depreciation. Chatham House, a UK-based international affairs think tank, has advised the Nigerian government against strengthening the naira, asserting that its depreciation has enhanced the country's economic competitiveness. In a recent article titled "Nigeria's economy needs the naira to stay competitive," Chatham House emphasized that for sustainable long-term growth, the government should resist the temptation to combat inflation by allowing the naira to appreciate against the dollar. The report noted that under President Bola Tinubu's reforms, the naira has devalued significantly, dropping from approximately 460 naira to dollar around the 2023 election to just below 1,500 naira currently. This substantial currency adjustment is among the largest globally in recent years, with only the Ethiopian birr experiencing a more significant change. Chatham House highlighted that this devaluation has made Nigeria more competitive than at any time in the past 25 years. The think tank cautioned that while inflation has surged due to these reforms, allowing the naira to strengthen could undermine the competitiveness gained from its depreciation. They stressed the importance of maintaining the current exchange rate to support sustained economic development. This perspective aligns with recent observations by Nigerian economist Bismarck Rewani, who warned that the recent appreciation of the naira is temporary. Rewani revealed that the government has spent almost $8 billion to support the naira stability, suggesting that policymakers should not become complacent. Supreme Court upholds death sentence for man who killed attacker in self-defense. The Supreme Court has upheld a High Court ruling sentencing Sunday Jackson to death for killing an assailant in self-defense. Jackson was reportedly working on his farm when an armed herder attempted to attack him. In an act of self-defense, he overpowered and killed his attacker. However, in 2021, an Adamawa High Court sentenced him to death, ruling that he could have fled instead of using lethal force. On March 7th, the Supreme Court reaffirmed the High Court's decision. Criticism of the judgment. Speaking on Arise TV, international human rights lawyer Emmanuel Ogebe condemned the verdict, calling it a dangerous precedent. He argued that Jackson's case was a clear example of self-defense. Ogebe, who became involved in Jackson's defense, pointed out that there was a 167-day delay between the conclusion of arguments and the judgment, far exceeding the 19-day limit set by the Constitution. He highlighted the inadequate legal representation Jackson received, noting that he was initially assisted by the Legal Aid Council due to his financial constraints. According to Ogebe, Jackson should have been charged with manslaughter rather than murder, since he used his attacker's weapon rather than his own. He lamented that Jackson has now exhausted all legal options and awaits execution. Concerns over a rushed judgment, US-based human rights advocate William Devlin also criticized the ruling, stating that Jackson was unfairly treated by the Nigerian justice system. "This is a tragic day for human rights in Nigeria," Devlin said. Jackson was simply defending himself. He further alleged that the Supreme Court's ruling was delivered in less than 3 minutes, failing to acknowledge Jackson's innocence. Devlin revealed that Jackson, who has spent a decade on death row, was abandoned by his wife. Despite the legal setback, he emphasized that international advocates will continue to fight for Jackson's freedom. Follow for more. March 10th, 2025.